Hey everyone, Darren from hostelmanagement.com. So there was a recent conversation in the Facebook group about Bitcoin, and this surfaces from time to time. And during the conversation, I think I mentioned to one of the members that I would do a video about this. And now my editor has kind of held me to task, and so now I'm creating the video. So as I started preparing for this video, I realized, first of all, I am not an expert in Bitcoin, but what I can do is help some hostels see how we actually implement it at our hostel. And we do a very rudimentary way of accepting Bitcoin. So anyway, first thing you need to know is I'm not an expert in Bitcoin at all. And you are obviously taking some risks anytime you accept a different currency than what you normally associate with your hostel. So anything that I say here, don't take it as advice. Do your own research with Bitcoin. But there are some real interesting things happening with Bitcoin, and in particular cryptocurrency like Ethereum, which I'm going to touch on. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details about, what is Bitcoin. There's lots of resources online, but it's not a physical coin. Miners find Bitcoin by doing these really complex mathematical problems that are hard to solve but easy to prove, which is true in most math problems. Miners also confirm transactions to make sure that somebody who has Bitcoin is not spending it once with one vendor and twice with another vendor. So that happens as well. But basically, for you and me, Bitcoin is just numbers on a computer screen. And when you think about it, the numbers in your bank account most of the time are just that as well. It's not actual physical cash. It's a number in your bank balance, and you can convert that into a credit card payment. You can convert that into another currency. Same happens with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is kind of based on what's called proof of work, and Ethereum is based on proof of stake. There's a deep rabbit hole on this. I encourage you to go do research on the internet to see how all of this works. And I'm going to talk about Ethereum more because it allows you to do something called smart contracts, where both parties in the contract are enforced, the terms of the contract are enforced, and the Ethereum actually changes hands based on the parameters of the contract. So, for example, that could be done in a reservation at your hostel, where somebody agrees to pay a certain amount of Ethereum, and if they don't show, they're going to be charged. If they do show, they get charged as well. But if for some reason you don't provide the accommodation, they don't have to pay. So that gives them security as well. Advantages of Bitcoin. To me, I see Bitcoin as an alternative to credit cards. So the fees, at least in the United States, are much less than credit card fees. Credit card fees in the United States are about 3%. With Bitcoin, it's very, very low, like maybe even a 0.05% to transfer Bitcoin from one place to another. The miners get that for basically maintaining the network. And you pay about 1% when you want to actually convert Bitcoin into fiat currency, that is the currency of your country. And I'll show you the various services that do that. There's very low cost for currency exchange because the person who's sending the Bitcoin is sending it, has converted it into their fiat currency into Bitcoin. So there's basically Bitcoin handles the exchange between countries. So you don't have to worry about that. The biggest one that attracted me to Bitcoin is that there are no chargebacks. Bitcoin is like cash, sending cash through the internet. And so once it's sent, it belongs to the recipient. They can give it back to you if they want to, but they don't have to. So if you're using Bitcoin as a reservation advance payment, you already have the money in your bank. If they no-show on you, you already have the money. Whereas with credit cards, frequently you try to charge the credit card, and now their credit card is maxed out. It was a virtual credit card. The credit card's expired. You can't collect on that. So this was one of the big reasons that we liked Bitcoin. It's fast. You can literally be on the phone with someone, they're sending the Bitcoin, and it's like, just like that, you have it. And so you can actually confirm the transaction. Likewise, the money gets into your account immediately. As with credit cards, it's like 2 to 3 days, business days, before you actually get the money in your account. Bitcoin, you could convert this into your fiat currency immediately if you wanted to, immediately after having received it. Another big reason that we used Bitcoin at our hostel, or accept Bitcoin at our hostel, is because we get all of these new customers. There is a rabid community of Bitcoin enthusiasts around the world, and they will actually, list your hostel on various website directories if you accept their, their currency of choice. So that's a really good benefit, because it's basically free promotion for your hostel. And it's easy to convert into cash. In fact, there's actually Bitcoin ATM machines. Look on the internet and you'll probably find a Bitcoin ATM machine near you where you can basically take your Bitcoin and convert it into your fiat currency. The disadvantages of Bitcoin, as we found, is it's not stable, but the easiest way to mitigate that risk is to immediately convert it into your fiat currency. Some hostel owners actually do that through their Bitcoin wallet or the Bitcoin bank, and they just basically have it automatically converts into their fiat currency as soon as it's received. So there's very minimal risk in that case. It's not anonymous as people think. All of the transactions, as you'll see when I look at my transactions, anyone can see, at least the way we do it, how many transactions by Bitcoin we've received. So it's usually taxable. It's certainly taxable in the United States, and I'll show you how I do that bookkeeping. It's a very manual process, but it's usable. And it's frequently hard to implement at the front desk at the hostel because the staff are so itinerant in hostels. They're only there for 3 to 6 months. It becomes very difficult to train them all the time. So you'll see in a minute, that's why I actually put the instructions right on our website. What you need in order to accept Bitcoin is a Bitcoin wallet. And this is frankly something that I haven't done. I actually use a Bitcoin bank. But most of the Bitcoin enthusiasts will say that a wallet is more secure than a bank. But I'm going to actually illuminate this website. I'll actually put this in the description of the video. And you can kind of read about this and what the different wallet types are. Coming down here, they actually have some hardware wallets. I think they even have some things that are biometric wallets. So basically you need your fingerprint in order to be able to get the Bitcoin out. They usually have like a USB, so you plug it into your computer and then only then can you send Bitcoin to someplace else. It's important to note that even when your wallet is not connected to the internet, you can receive Bitcoin, but you actually kind of like suck it down into your wallet. It's kind of basically you're like making a backup copy of the Bitcoin that has been received. So you don't actually have to have your wallet physically connected to the internet in order to receive payments. So I'll let you read all of this within here. But then they have a section in this where they talk about Bitcoin banks. And this is actually what I use because I actually find that it's easier. Hopefully I'm not at a bad Bitcoin bank, but Bitcoin banks is basically where you're entrusting someone else to hold your Bitcoin for you. Think of it as like your local bank, and they have a safe deposit box. And anytime you put lots of assets into one place, it makes it a bigger target for hackers. Or you put too many hens in the hen house, that becomes an attractive target for foxes. Whereas if you're doing this individually, a hacker has to go through a lot of trouble just to get your Bitcoin personally. So that's probably the biggest reason why Bitcoin banks step up the risk, because there's lots of Bitcoin in the online bank. There have been some banks that have lost money. So basically my rule is that, never put so much in there where that you can't endure the loss. So anytime my Bitcoin account gets up too high, then I'm taking Bitcoin out of it. So that's my rule of thumb, just in general with life. So this is another site that you may want to check out. We use coins.com, and this goes into how to accept Bitcoin payments as a merchant. So then blockchain, this is the online Bitcoin bank that I use, and they have pretty good security, at least so it seems, but there's no way to actually authenticate that or assess that from the outside, someone like me. But they do make you go through a lot of hoops in order to even log in and access your account. Two-factor authentication, yes. In fact, it's three-factor authentication. You first have to check your email, catch that. Then you have to check your phone to get the text message. So, and I have very strong passwords on my email. You should be pretty hard for them to get a hold of your cell phone. Now, in terms of their internal security, I'm sure there are people who are trying to, hack into this and any of the other ones all the time. So as far as I know, they have pretty good security, but I can't vouch for it. BitPay is a service. It's really more about implementing the receipt of Bitcoin payments on your website. So they're really more targeted at programmers and such. If we accept Bitcoin on Hostel Snap, we'll probably look into Bitcoin's APIs. And, they have this kind of little widget that comes up, and for the customer it says awaiting payment, and it basically tells them to send their payment to this particular address. The advantage of this is that a new address is generated for every single customer. Basically, with Bitcoin payments, you can kind of generate a Bitcoin address, and each customer gets their own address. You'll see when the way we implemented it at our hostel, we don't do that. We actually have one address for everyone. And then the last one that I know of is Coinbase. So if you guys know other places, there's probably people in our community that are already accepting Bitcoin. They may be using hardware wallets or software wallets as well. They may not want to use these online banks, but just put something in the comments. If you are using Bitcoin at your hostel, let us know how you're doing it. Okay, so how do we do Bitcoin at Pacific Tradewinds Hostel in San Francisco? Well, first of all, we put the instructions, or we basically tell people how we receive Bitcoin. Let me actually log out of the administration on our website. We tell guests, yes, we accept Bitcoin. Let me actually go down to the FAQ and go into costs. And I think it was in here, do you accept Bitcoin? So we tell them all about it. And this is the address that if you ever want to send me Bitcoin, send it to this address. You can't withdraw Bitcoin from this address. It's only a place like a deposit slot, and you can send it. And this is the barcode that you can use from many Bitcoin apps to basically say, I want to send this much, and you scan the barcode and you send it. Now, here's already an inherent risk that could happen by putting this up on your web page. If somebody were to hack into our website and change this address, my staff might not notice it. You should notice it. I actually get a notification when the page has been changed. But Bitcoin payments from your customers could be going to someone else. So that's one thing to look at. Everything is the website security. Is your website security good? You don't have to put this on your website. In fact, when we first started, we actually had this printed out and just kind of a Word document, and we laminated it and we kept it at the front desk for the staff to refer to anytime they needed to receive a Bitcoin payment. But this is the address. It's one address for every single payment. And I'll show you how that's helpful later on too. So, let me go back. And we actually say staff, click here. So as I mentioned, staff, frequently it's it's a training issue with Bitcoin. So we actually put the instructions right on our website. So in fact, the customers sometimes will say, Well, you actually have the instructions. So the Bitcoin enthusiasts, the people who are out there using Bitcoin, they're pretty patient when it comes to Bitcoin, and they're basically trying to change the world. They're trying to tell everyone about Bitcoin. So when they see something like this on our website where it actually has staff instructions, they might even look at this, and they tend to be people, customers who read a lot. They read all of these things. And so they're the ones who actually frequently will go to the staff and say, oh yeah, your owner of the hostel put the instructions right here. And the staff, if they see it on the website, generally they trust it. And if not, they'll just give me a call and say, hey, Darren, they have someone here that wants to pay with Bitcoin. So that's how we accept it physically at our hostel. And then we tell the hostel staff to check this link on blockchain.info and see how many Bitcoin transactions we have. And then they can literally just watch the new Bitcoin transaction come in. So this one shows the most recent one. They can see when the next one just came in, so they can say, boom, okay, Bitcoin was received. Then what we do at the hostel is we actually give them a 100% discount. So basically, at this point in time, that income does not get reported into our property management system in Hostel Snap because it's recorded as a discount of 100%. So that's another thing that, like, on a day-to-day basis and a monthly basis, Bitcoin currently doesn't get added up as income. And I'll show you how we actually track income at the end of the year when we need to do taxes. So that's on this page. So what did I say? Blockchain gives us this report, and it tells us when Bitcoin was received and how much it was worth when it was received. So here's the amount that it was when it was received. And so that then gets added up at the end of the year. I have an assistant add that all up. And so last year in 2018, we received a total of $2,282 worth US dollars of Bitcoin at the hostel. So we just add that into our income on our tax return. We add that in as a separate amount. So as you can see, it doesn't flow well with the property management system. This reason alone may not be work for a lot of hostels, but we feel like that the benefits of, well, one, receiving $2,000 a year, it's nothing to sneeze at, but two, the amount of exposure that we've gotten in the media. Sometimes reporters have contacted us because they're trying to do a story on, Bitcoin businesses, real brick and mortar businesses, not things that are online and shady. So we've gotten some exposure in the press from accepting Bitcoin that way. Bitcoin and Ethereum are one of only many, many different cryptocurrencies out there. There's tons of cryptocurrencies. Be careful. There's a lot of people out there that says, hey, we're going to start the Bitcoin, or not the cryptocurrency of the day. And they have these initial coin offerings. And a lot of people put their money thinking that this is going to be the next biggest thing and I'm going to turn into a millionaire. I really don't subscribe to all of the hype around cryptocurrency. I see it as a way of receiving new customers, receiving money at my hostel, happy to convert it into my fiat currency to pay bills. But I'm not really doing it for, like, hey, it's going to make me a millionaire, everything. I'm always dubious when I hear those sorts of claims. Okay, so over here, John Moriarty, a very frequent member on hostel management, used to own a hostel in Ireland. He's working on this, bitcoinhostels.com. So what I understand, that this will be a directory of hostels that accept Bitcoin around the world. The data actually comes from the Our Hostels database on hostel management. So if your hostel is not already listed in the Our Hostels database, I encourage you to add it. Just come down here to hostels, add hostels to our database. That's where you want to go. So I mentioned Ethereum and some of the amazing things that are happening with smart contracts. I'm going to show you this video because big things are happening. Winding Tree is a cryptocurrency that's based off of Ethereum, as I understand it. And you think, well, if you think that these cryptocurrencies are, just kind of for these fringe populations of guests in your hostel, I think Winding Tree is working on solving a problem that all of us hostels have. So here's that video now.
We live in times where travel has become part of our everyday life. On the surface, the travel industry looks super competitive with lots of companies fighting for your business. But your favorite travel website has a hidden secret. Everything they're selling comes from just a few middlemen companies, and they are taking a huge chunk of the profit, up to 20%. This prevents new, innovative, and cost-saving companies from entering the market and allows a few large middlemen to take money out of the pockets of consumers and travel suppliers. But there's a better way. Introducing Winding Tree, the travel industry's open blockchain platform for booking and securing transactions without intermediaries. By breaking the currently concentrated distribution landscape, innovative new companies can bring their ideas to market. Winding Tree is a set of smart contracts that live on a public blockchain and an API which can be integrated into any POS system, making it easy for anyone to list and find inventory. The Leaf token is the fuel of the platform, which allows for transacting on the Winding Tree blockchain and making fee-free international payments. Winding Tree enables permissionless innovation and true competition for the travel industry.
So how many of you can relate to that? And so if you think that, this is fringe, this was a news article recently that says Air Canada is now partnering with Winding Tree to get a blockchain-based travel distribution platform. So big players are moving into cryptocurrency in order to kind of get rid of the middlemen. And this is something where I think hostels should really pay attention to cryptocurrency, and in particular Bitcoin and Ethereum, because read everything you can about it, because I think that there are some really big things happening in the future that will actually help us compete with the OTAs or eliminate the OTAs. So that's all I have about this. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer it, but maybe even better still, maybe there's someone else in our community who knows more about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency than I do. All right, thanks for watching.